I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am Chrissy. I'm your chair for NCJAR's YPN. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We have Jared James with us. For those of you who don't know him, I don't know if you've been living under a rock because he's all over the place. He's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, LinkedIn. He's got his popular podcast, Today with Jared James.
I should change it to Today with the Jared. I mean, that's my God. That's a good
Jared James. Yeah. He's spoken at Triple Play before. If you've attended Triple Play, he's partied with us at Triple Play too. So, if you haven't
seen it, one of the events where there's actually people I know there, where I usually pick a night and go out with everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we do things a little bit differently here in New Jersey. So, we're really glad that we could bring him along. He puts out a lot of really great content. So we felt that he could really bring some great value and help us really prepare ourselves to have an absolutely phenomenal 2021. 2020 was definitely an interesting ride, I think, for everyone. So it'll be curious to kind of learn from some of our mistakes and make it a great year. So without any further ado, take it away, Jared.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody, guys. Appreciate you being on here. It's always fun to talk to people in the Northeast. I feel like I don't have to slow down how quickly I talk. So that's always fun. I know that I know a lot of you. For those of you that I don't know, hello. I hope that we're able to get to know each other in the future. I'm really excited about this. I've been doing obviously a lot of these. I can't wait to get back to live. There's nothing like live. But I'm excited about this because although there's nothing like live, when you do a virtual broadcast like this, it does have some advantages. And the real advantages are, I get to talk about things and show things that I wouldn't do at a live event. I get to screen share and walk you through exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm looking forward to doing that. We're going to do a Q&A at the end, so you can post your questions during if you want. I think they prefer you post them in the Q&A, but we'll also be checking the chat, but try to post them in the actual questions portion that's right over there next to your chat. I will hang on as long as you guys want afterwards and answer as many questions about business or anything that you want to ask about. I will go ahead and do that on there. So we'll do that. But the other thing I want to make sure that you understand is that I'm not selling anything. There's no last 90 seconds, where meet me at the booth in the back or anything like that. Everything I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you guys 100% free. Okay. So I'll give you a way to get it for free. I'll show you everything that I'm doing. We'll any template I talk about, anything, I'm going to give you 100% free. So put your guard down. I'm here to help you today. And I'm really here to help you have, a great 2021. Because the truth of the matter is, I think there's huge opportunity. For those of you that aren't aware, that we're not connected. I run one of the largest coaching and training companies in North America right now. By agent count, number of students, we're number 3 in North America. I will be number 1. The other 2 guys just have a 25-year jump on me. So we've got that. I'm not one of these people that talks about selling real estate that never sold a house. I was the number 1 agent in the country when I was 26 years old. And so there's really a difference between learning or watching a YouTube video on selling a house and actually sitting at the dining room table. Okay. And all of you should feel comfortable knowing that I've sat across the dining room table. I've sold a crap ton of real estate. I just happened to find myself in this position, which is weird. I can talk to you guys about that another time, how that happens. But what I'm really looking forward to today is, giving you actual tangible ideas you can use. Okay. So give me your attention for the next hour. Block out all that stuff, turn your phone off unless you're gonna do this, by the way. I do recommend take a picture of the screen of this happening, put it up on Instagram, put it up on Facebook, put it up on all these different platforms. If you tag me, I will grab a couple of them and I'll put them up on my stories to give you guys a little bit of love, because quite frankly, the association should get some love. They're investing in you. Okay. If you want to tag me, I'm putting it in the chat right now. There's the link, connectwithjared.com. If you go to connectwithjared.com, I just put it in chat. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, all these, all the different places, at Jared James today. But show them some love for putting this on for you. A lot of places talk about the value they bring you, and yet they've actually invested in you and wanted to really give you real value. Okay. So with that being said, guys, like I said, I think that there's amazing opportunity in 2021, but it's not for everybody. For those that are going to keep running their business the way that it's always been, that are going to just kind of, hope that people call them, that are going to hope that their phone rings, that's not going to work. Okay. And I'm going to break that down as we go through here, as we talk about our various strategies. It's about those that are going to be intentional, and they're going to run a business like it's actually 2021. Okay. So we'll go through that a little bit. I mean, let's face it, 2020 has been a doozy. I would love to sit here and tell you, how amazing it has been for everyone. And the truth is, yes, we do have a lot of students that have had their best years ever, but it's been a tough year for everyone. I mean, I like to say we're all in the same traffic, different lanes. Okay. And what I mean by that is, usually when I'm doing trainings or I'm talking to audiences from Australia or from Brazil or from Portugal or from wherever it is, you have to know their local market. You have to know how they do real estate. You have to know. And what this whole COVID thing did was, we're all in the same traffic. Like it's all, whether I'm talking to Brazil or here or whatever, they're all dealing with the same crap, right? And so I call it same traffic, different lanes, because if you've ever been in traffic, it's like everyone's in traffic, but some lanes move faster than others, right? If you've ever been in that one lane and your spouse is like, move to this lane, it's going quicker, or your kid in the back is like, move to that lane. That's kind of what this is right now. We're all in the same traffic. We're just in different lanes. Okay. And I do believe that there's two ways you can look at 2020. Okay. You can either get down about all that went unplanned. I mean, if I could see you guys, I'd say anything go unplanned in the last year, anything you didn't expect, anything you thought would never happen. Right. And I think you'd all would raise your hands and say yes. And you can get down about that. Or if you want to take the other approach, you could appreciate the new muscles and the resilience that have been formed in you. That, I mean, really, guys, what's going to come your way that you can't handle? Like, we manually shut down the economy. I want you to think about that. Like, that's insane. That's crazy. We locked down, like insanity, right? And so you can either get down about what went unplanned, or you can appreciate the new muscles and the resilience that's been been built in you. When you go through new things, they create new muscles. For some of you, you're gonna make a New Year's goal to start hitting the gym, and you're only gonna do it for 2 weeks, and then you're gonna stop. Okay, and your legs are gonna hurt bad. You're gonna have trouble walking, right? Because you're gonna do new things. You're gonna be working new muscles, whatever, and you never gave it the time to actually come to fruition. What this did to us is that everybody kind of came to fruition. Like, we had to stick in it. And so there's resilience that's built. We've got to stay positive about that. I put up a post on Instagram recently, where I said, if you constantly believe that your glass is half empty, can you give me that half a glass so at least, I can do something with it? Because people that sit back and just go, oh, this is happening, that's happening, oh, this is bad. Where meanwhile, as I said, we've got students who 2020 is going to be their best year ever. There's very specific reasons why that happens. Okay. And so we're going to talk about that. One thing I do want to make sure that we understand is that, heading into 2021, I want you to take advantage of your own motivation. Like, there are certain things that we're willing to do when we look at a new year, right? We're able to, we're going to stop eating brownies. We're going to start exercising. We're going to start making calls for our business. We have all these things that we come up with, that something about the new year gives us, that motivation. And so I want you to take advantage of that. I want you to understand that, the new year, in many cases, 2021, with the crap show that was 2020, it's a new beginning. It represents new hope. It's a chance to redefine, who you are. It's like going to a new high school. You get to decide who you're going to be. If any of you have ever switched from one high school to another, you get to say, hey, I was a geek, now I'm going to be a jock. I was a this, now I'm going to be a this. Now 2021 is one of those opportunities where you're going to get to decide what it looks like. You're going to get to decide what your business is going to look like. How many of you listening to me have ever had a disconnect between what you intended to do and what you did? What you intended to do and what you actually did, right? And that would be almost every single one of you. And so the new year poses this opportunity where we get motivated, we get inspired, everybody gets on that same place. Let's take advantage of that. Because the truth of the matter is that if you're watching me right now, it means that you're in the real estate industry, which means you are so freaking lucky. It's ridiculous. It means you get to create your outcome every single day. And for many of us, we're wasting it. We're wasting that potential. We're wasting that opportunity. We're wasting that amazing, whatever you want to call it, because we just don't stay disciplined. We don't keep a calendar. We don't time block. We don't have set times when we're creating business. We're just kind of wasting the days and seeing what's happening. And that's not okay. This is a time when, we've got to know what we're after, and we have to know specifically what that's going to take. Because the harsh truth is that you will not get what you want in 2021. You will get what you're committed to and what you plan for, right? Hope strategy never works. And you know that. You've seen that. You headwise know that. You intellectually know that. But we need to make that connection between what it is you say you want and what actions you're actually taking, right? Because you'll never get what you want. If you want to be a multimillionaire, that's awesome. But there are specific strategies. There are things that you have to give up. There are things that, right? And so we've got to connect those two if this is going to be the year that actually happens. Okay. One thing I want to say before we really get going, I'm going to talk about 7 things with you guys right now that we need to focus on in 2021. Understand that our business is ultimately about 2 things. Okay. It's about leads and it's about leverage. We work with, brand new agents. We work with the top agents in the world. We work with the top teams in the world. We work with the top brokerages in the world. And it's always about the same thing, guys. Your real estate business ultimately comes down to leads and leverage, okay? You have to have enough leads to create an overflow of business, and you have to have the leverage, the infrastructure to ultimately handle it, right? I've said for years, and I'm a big believer, that in the real estate industry, you're going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to run a business or you're going to run around, okay? You're going to run a business or you're going to run around. One of those 2 things. And that's true because historically we're an industry that, we go to these trainings and we go to these conferences. And traditionally what happens is that we put up on panels agents that are the successful top producer agents. And the truth of the matter is most of them hate their life. They've gotten to a point that they're successful, but they have no life. They answer their phone all the time. Their clients control everything they do. They're constantly anxious. They're constantly waiting for the next thing. And so we want to get away from that. You run a business or you run around. Okay. And so we're going to talk about some of those things as we go in to the 7 areas that I want you to focus on. Okay. So with that being said, I hope you're taking some notes. I hope you're going to pay attention. Let's talk about the 7 things that we want to focus on for 2021. Okay. Number 1. And by the way, at some point I'll carry some slides. I'll show some slides and that stuff. And again, all of that I'll give you for free. Okay. So number 1 is pretty simple. We need to get clear on the benchmarks that matter. Okay. So number 1 is we want to get clear on the benchmarks that matter. One of the things that we say to our students all the time is we say, assess where you are now or regret where you end later. Assess where you are now or regret where you end later. One of the most common things that I ask when I go to events and stuff and I see some of our students and I say, where are you for the year? If I hear somebody say, I'm at about means you don't know. I mean, that's really, about means you have no clue, right? We're just guessing. Ask somebody how much they owe on their credit card. They'd say, I'm at about, and then when they actually look at the statement, they're like, someone stole my credit card, right? And they get their spouse on the phone. They're calling the credit card company, ready to shut it down. There's fraud. And as they start looking down the statement, they're like, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Hun, hang up the phone, hun. Hang up the phone. It's not fraud. Because when we guess about those types of things, we're almost always wrong. And what we need to understand is that most of the things we do are almost never about the result. The result's not what matters in almost anything, right? It's what happened beforehand that creates the result. That's all that really matters. My apologies to Allen Iverson, but it's not the game, it's the practice. Okay. It's not the game, it's the practice. That's what shows up in the game, right? We tell our students that if you focus on results, you'll get frustration. But if you focus on process, you'll get results. Okay, I'm gonna say that one more time. Some of you need to put that up on your wall. You need to put it as the wallpaper on your phone. We have those for free for people that want to do them. But if you focus on results, you'll get frustration. But if you focus on process, you'll get results. And this is true. Like you know, when you go get on the scale, if you don't like what the scale says, you don't kick the scale and get ticked off at the scale. The scale did its job, right? But the result that's on the scale had little to do with the scale and everything to do with the M&M cookie the night before. You see what I'm saying? It's not the result, it's the process. And the same thing is true when it comes to our businesses, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna show you guys here, and again, I'm gonna give you guys a link where you can go and you can download this for 100% free, okay? But this is the digital plan, and I want all of you to fill this out. We have a regular business plan I'm gonna give you guys for free as well. And it's, you know, 13, 14 pages, and it just goes through a lot of details. But the truth is, I don't care about a 13, 14 page business plan. I'm trying to get down to the stuff that actually matters. The only reason we give you a longer business plan is so that you're thinking about the various parts of your business, and you're thinking about, where do I invest this year? Where do I not invest? Who's my ideal client? Who's my, you know, all of those things, rather than just winging it throughout the year, which is what most of us do. Because let's be honest, how many of you have ever filled out a detailed business plan and then on August 2nd felt like you were like, let me go look at my page 3 of my business plan? Probably not many of you, okay? So we want to get down to what really matters, which is your number of contacts and your number of appointments. Those are what ultimately equal your transactions. You see, in business, there's what's called lead measures and lag measures, okay? And lead measures, I don't mean lead like leads that come into your business. I mean, they're the leading indicator, right? And there are things that equal closings. Just like I said, you don't focus on results, you focus on process. Process is those lead measures, right? And those measures are things like conversations and appointments. We know that in the real estate industry, for every 41 real estate related conversations you have, you create 1 transaction. So obviously, the goal is to create more real estate related conversations, right? The goal, we know that for every certain number of appointments you create, that's what we're about to go over, you'll create a certain number of transactions. So the first thing I'm going to want you guys to do, and I didn't give this to you yet because I want you paying attention to me and not doing this in front of me, you'll do this afterwards, is I want you to fill this out for 2021, okay? And everything that's red, you're going to fill out. So let's say that my goal is 250,000, okay? Let's say that my average commission in 2020, and you're going to have to go figure this out. Let's say it was 6,000. I don't know what yours is. This is going to change regardless. Okay. That means you need 42 transactions to reach that goal. Let's say that in 2020, I did, 25 listing appointments, and I listed 13 of them and I sold 12 of them. Okay. Means I have a 48% closing ratio, meaning 48% of all appointments I go on. We'll just make this easy. Let's make this 26. We'll make this 13. So it's nice and easy. It's 50%. Okay. Now I have a 50%. 50% of all of them I go on, they close. Okay. This year I want to sell X number of listings. Well, if I know that I need 42 to hit my goal, I want 30 of those to be listings, which means that I want 12 of them to be buyers. Okay. Now I come down to the buyer's side. Okay. Potential buyers I worked with will do the exact same thing. 26, worked with 14, closed 13. Again, I have a 50% closing ratio. Okay. What this is going to do for us is tell us our total number of appointments that we need. Okay. This is all that matters to me. You see this? Appointments per week, appointments per month. Here's what this does. This gives you direction for where you ultimately need to be going. Okay. Because here's the crazy thing about our industry. I'll come back to this in a second, guys. Here's the crazy thing about our industry is, for everyone listening right now, whether you sold the most real estate on here or whether you sold the least, you probably work the same number of hours. Like, that's crazy, but it's true in our industry. And so what we also know is that all hours are not created equal, okay? We have to know exactly where our hours should be spent. What are those lead measures that ultimately equal transactions? And we know that one of the leading indicators is number of appointments. And here's the crazy thing. For me to hit my goal, according to what we looked at right here, to hit 42 transactions, if my average commission is $6,000, yours might be higher. You might only need 30, right? It's telling me that I need 1.68 appointments per week. Now it's going to round it up to 2. So here's the beauty of this. In order for me to hit my goal of $250,000, all I need to do is hit 2 appointments a week. That's it. Like, that sounds crazy. It's that little, but it shows us how unproductive some of our time is, right? It means I can do whatever I want with the rest of my time. I can waste my time, whatever. I need 2 appointments. And if I hit 2 appointments, that's ultimately going to make me hit my goal. Now, the beauty of that is that it gives me some kind of focus. Instead of I'm at a bow or am I on track or am I whatever, if I know that my indicator is 2 appointments a week, then I know exactly where I am every week and what I need to be focused on. And sometimes Tuesday at 11 a.m., I'm good for the week. I have 2 appointments. And sometimes Thursday at 7 p.m., I've only got 1 appointment and I know that I need 1 more. But what this is going to do is this is going to now dictate my schedule. And I'm going to make sure that I time block in my calendar specific times that are for prospecting and other things specifically to create appointments. Because if I only create 2 per week, I'm on schedule and I'll hit that $250,000. And again, for a lot of you, it's going to be even better because you have a much higher average price point than 250. But you see my point. It's about making the numbers make sense. And really, it's 1.68 a week. It's not even 2, but it gives me direction. And what it really does, this structure that so many of us are avoiding, it actually gives me freedom. Because why most of us are answering our calls all week long and, driving our families crazy and whatever, is because we never know where we are. And this one might be something. This one might be a deal. This one might be. But here's the beauty of knowing your numbers. When you're at 2 appointments already for the week and you know that you're on track, you know that it's okay to take the night off. You know that it's okay to go take your kid to something. You know that it's okay to go out with your boyfriend or girlfriend and do something and not worry about it because you're on track. And you know you're on track because you're keeping track of the benchmarks that matter, okay? The other one that's on here is conversations. I said it takes 41 real estate related conversations to equal 1 transaction. So if I'm trying to get 42 transactions, then I know that 42 times 41 conversations is 1,708 conversations. This is telling you that if I'm going to work 50 weeks in the giving year, whatever yours is, I need 34 conversations per week. Okay. 34, pretty simple stuff. So when you look at that, that's now giving you some kind of a benchmark that, okay, I need to have some kind of time in my schedule that actually allows for this kind of time to create conversations, right? 34, when you really think about it, if you're going to work 6 days a week, is only 6 conversations a day that you have to create. We do a thing with our students, maybe at the end, if you guys remind me, I'll show you where you can get it, where I talk about the 7 non-negotiables. And we tell all of our students, these are the 7 non-negotiables that you have to do every single day. And one of those non-negotiables is creating 10 new conversations, okay? And you think that sounds easy until you get through all of the easy ones. And then you're on day 4 and you're like, holy crap, what do I do here? Like, who do I create conversations with? And now you see how difficult that actually is. And now your business starts to grow because you start creating conversations with people that you wouldn't have had to create separately. Okay. So number 1 is get clear on your benchmarks that matter. By the way, if you guys want that download, I'll show it to you guys right now. Let me pull it up here. The place that you can go, and I'll actually put it in the chat again as well. The place that you can go to is right here. It's jaredjamestoday.com/download. Okay. You're gonna put right here and you'll download not only the digital planner that I just showed you, you'll download the full business plan, and you'll also get a social media check for you as well. Not a check, but an audit for you as well that will kind of see how you're doing on social media. There's a lot of things for that. Okay. So you're going to go to jaredjamestoday.com/download. I will right now, as I'm actually doing this with you guys, put it in the link.
We got
throw
it
over there for you. You got it? Somebody put it in there? Oh, look at you guys. You guys are amazing. So jaredjamestoday.com/download. That's 100% free for you. Okay. So number 1 is get clear on your benchmarks that matter. And guys, just so you know, that's the most boring part of the presentation. I get it. Benchmarks are not fun. They're not interesting. But they matter. Like, they're the part that you're avoiding. If you really want to do well in your business, commit to the unsexy stuff. Commit to the stuff that people don't see on Instagram. Commit to the stuff that isn't going to be in the next book. That's not going to be in the next. That's how you win, period. Okay. So number 1 is get clear on those benchmarks that matter. Number 2, and this is a biggie, guys. This is something that, no matter where you hear me speak all over the world this year, I'm going to talk about this point right here, which is have a plan for post-transaction. Okay. Let me explain to you what that means. This is a big thing right now. Take a look at this right now. I'm going to put up a graph for you guys to kind of see what I'm talking about here. And again, I will give you guys these slides. This is a slide I was talking about last year, but I'm going to drive it home a little bit to make some more sense. 2020, 2019, end of 2019 into 2020 was the first time in history that venture capital from Silicon Valley got invested into our industry. They looked at our industry as the next great industry to be disrupted. And their idea of disruption did not include you, okay? It was you being cut out, okay? And so when you look at this, this is how much was invested so far in 2020 into these different parts of real estate to disrupt them from Silicon Valley. I won't cover them all, but the main thing is $500 million into brokerages, $2 billion into iBuyer, $1.5 billion into mortgage, $265 million into ancillary services, those kind of things. You know, you see this, but the one number that I want you to pay attention to here is this $0. Okay. Anybody know what that $0 is? That $0 is post-purchase. They put billions of dollars into our industry and not $1 into post-purchase, which a lot of you are like, oh, what idiots. That's, you know, they obviously don't understand our industry. They don't understand repeat business. They don't. And I got to be honest with you. When I think about it and I think, well, why didn't they put any money into post-purchase? If many of us are very honest with ourselves, they probably figured that strategy out by watching us. Because while we know the truth about our industry, we don't do a very good job with post-purchase either, okay? Take a look at this number right here. Anybody know what that number represents? It's $117,000, okay? This number, according to a recent study, is the average lifetime value of a client, okay? The average lifetime value of a client is $117,000, not the $4, $5, $6, $8, $10, $12, $15,000 tip, the commission you make at the closing. This is the lifetime value of the client. My question to so many of you would be, how many of you would treat your clients differently long-term if they were walking around with a sign over their head that said, I'm worth $117,000? You'd probably treat them a little bit different. And this brings me to an extremely important point, and I really want you guys to pay attention to this. And again, I'm going to give you guys these slides for free, okay? So just pay attention. This is what's happening in our industry right now. I did this for any of you that use BombBomb. At our last, we do a yearly event called the Jared James Advance. We have all our students and followers and this stuff. And at the last one, I did an interview with Darren Dawson, the founder of BombBomb. And we talked about this right here, which is so crucial. This is the traditional marketing funnel. Whether you recognize it or not, this is how business is happening for you, okay? Basically, there are certain things at the top of the funnel, you know, like Facebook leads and these kind of things that are further up. They take a little bit longer to get down to the bottom of the funnel where the chicken finally pops the egg out. Then you have things like sphere of influence, past clients that are at the bottom of the funnel. They're easier sales, they're whatever. This is the traditional way that we've looked at real estate. But what I'm telling you is with all the disruptors and everything else, this has been changed. And here's what it now looks like. This is how SaaS companies view their customers. And when I say SaaS companies, I'm not talking about companies with a little bit of attitude. I'm talking about SaaS, software as a service. This would be like, for example, I run a tech company, a CRM company. It's like a CRM where it's recurring revenue. Those types of companies, BombBomb, they're SaaS companies. And this is what they do. They don't look at the traditional funnel where it just comes down, pops out, and it's done. They flip the funnel on its side and they look at it like a bow tie, okay? And on the left side of the funnel is the traditional funnel where you've got to get to the transaction. And in the middle right here, the commit is the transaction. It's the closing. And on the right side is the post-close, okay? Now, it's a very important point right here. What we need to understand moving forward in our industry, if you're going to beat the disruptors, you're going to beat the third parties and all these places pouring billions of dollars in, is that the transaction does not stop at the closing. It starts at the closing. I'm going to say that again. The transaction doesn't stop at the closing. It starts at the closing. How many of you, if you're being honest with yourself, have worked with clients for 3 to 6 months? They become like your best friends. They practically name their future kids after you. And then they close and you run into them in a supermarket 2 years later and it's awkward because you haven't really done a great job staying in touch. That's happened with a lot of you. The question I really want to ask you is this. When you look at this bow tie funnel, the left side being before the close and the right side being after the close, out of that $117,000 lifetime value, where does the majority of it fall? Is the majority of that $117,000 on the left side before they close, or is it on the right side after they close? It's obviously on the right side. Now my question to you is, where's the majority of your time being spent? Where's the majority of your money being spent? Where's the majority of your energy going? To the left side or to the right side? I can just about guarantee you it's on the left side. We spend money to create leads. We spend time over and over and over to follow up with them. We take people out for showings. We do all this stuff on the left side. And then the right side occurs and it's crickets, right? And we know that this is happening in so many cases. But we got to fix that, right? That's not necessarily how it should be or how we want it to be. And so my very specific question to you for the point number 2 here is, what is your plan for post-transaction? What's your plan for post-transaction? Take a look at this. How many of you, and by the way, this is why things like database and social and all these things are so important, because they make you direct to consumer. They allow you to stay in contact. They allow you to be top of mind. Those of you that are still avoiding, Facebook and Instagram because you don't need to know that Johnny had chicken for dinner, like that's all that social is. Guys, it's just top of mind, right? I'm not that social guy myself, and yet I'm extremely active on social because it's great for business. People remember you. You can put something out and have no third party involved, and it goes directly to them. You can put together an email and it goes directly to them. This is why your database is so important. But this isn't a session on database, so I'll just keep it very simple. What's your plan for post-transaction? How many of you right now have a loyalty program for your people? Have an actual client loyalty program? I would bet most of you do not, okay? I'm flying this week I'm flying to California, and then I'm flying to Mexico. I just got back from Colorado. Do you know that I didn't even look at any place other than Delta? I didn't even look, like not even an option, right? Why? Because I have a loyalty program with them. Like they give me upgrades, they treat me better, it builds up to other things. How come we don't in the real estate industry where it's the largest asset they're ever going to purchase? We don't have a loyalty program where loyalty means so much, where the average lifetime value is $117,000. How come we don't have a loyalty program? How come nobody's thought of that? We have all of our students doing this right now, right? How many of you right now, if you take a look at this, you do a loyalty program and you let them know about it, where every year as part of your client loyalty program, past customers, they get a gift card to the restaurant of their choice, right? They get, if they have children, don't use this if they don't have children, but you offer babysitting to them. You'll pay a babysitter to come in for one night for them to go out on a date or for them to go out or them to do. You get a free home value once a year. You get a free tax assessment. When those assessments come in, I'll appeal it for you for free. There's so many different things you can do with this. How many of you are doing this right now? And the real beauty of this, guys, is that it actually gives you a reason to be touching base at minimum 4 times a year. When you really think about it, at minimum 4 times a year, right? Because you can talk about these 4 different things. Like if you guys really want to leverage this on the level that you could, let me show you guys something here. I'll pull this up here. If you go to, I assume you're all on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and you go into the group, and this is free, guys, and a lot of you are already a part of this. You go into the group, Jared James Coaching, okay? So if you just type in Facebook, Jared James Coaching, and you go to this group right here, okay? If you put in the search right here, client loyalty program, we have, at last count, I'm not even sure to be honest, 13,572 members, agents from all over the world in here. If you go put in the search client loyalty program, you will see all of the different threads of people on what they do for the client loyalty program. and you'll actually be able to see what they're doing. You can steal what they're doing, right? Like exactly what they're doing, how they're marketing it. I just gave you 4 ideas, but they've got a lot more in there. And then you can go to a place like Fiverr, 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 Fiverr.com, and you can take what they're doing, put your branding on it for $5 and have someone else create your branding for it and create your client loyalty program, okay? So all you're gonna do again, go into Facebook, type in Jared James coaching, boom, just like that. That's coaches. Go join that group and just type in the search in there, client loyalty program. You can see things like that and other things that people have posted in there to be helpful. Steal it, replicate it, duplicate it, use it for yourself. But what you can't do is do not leave this meeting right here and not have some kind of a plan for post-transaction, okay? That cannot happen moving forward. When you look at everything going on in our world and you look at all of the third parties, disruptors, and everything else, the way you win is by getting close to your people. Because no matter how much money they spend, they can't steal your people. Nobody's ever stolen your client. Like I hear that all the time. And they're like, I've yet to see the video of somebody's clients gagged and handcuffed, getting stolen from them. Nobody can steal your client. Nobody can steal your boyfriend. Nobody can steal your wife. Nobody can steal them. If they can steal them, they were never yours, right? And so we've got to make our clients ours. And one of the ways you do that is by having a plan for post-transaction, okay? So number 1, get clear on your benchmarks that matter. Number 2, have a plan for post-transaction. And number 3, very simply, is have a plan for consistent marketing. If you're writing that down, have a plan for consistent marketing. I want you to remember this. If you think marketing is expensive, try being invisible. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If you think marketing's expensive, try being invisible. That's expensive. Nothing is more expensive in your business than being invisible, period. Okay. And so we can't continue to run our businesses while not having consistent marketing. You can't keep running that roller coaster ride where if things are slow, I'll market and make calls. If things are busy, I'll manage my transactions. It's a dummy move, guys. That's how a business goes up and goes down and goes, whatever. So you've got to have a plan for consistent marketing, especially in today's age. Have any of you been following what's going on? We just had, if the majority of your business is coming from places like Zillow and these other places, guys, they just started hiring agents. Not to mention, when you look at the fact that Facebook, Google, those small companies, Facebook and Google, right? This last year, under pressure from HUD, eliminated the ability to target ads based on things like zip codes and these other things, which completely eliminate your ability to target locally, and because they said it was discriminatory. So in other words, you can no longer take an open house, only promote it to that area because that's all who's interested in that open house because you're being discriminatory. Now we know that's ridiculous, but that's the rule. And everybody's playing according to the same rules. I mean, literally on Facebook and Instagram and Google right now, if you're a woman's magazine, you can't target women because you're being discriminatory. Now, we're all playing in the same game though, okay? And so when you understand that, you've got to have a plan. Here's the main thing I wanted you to understand. If Facebook and Instagram and Google, these huge conglomerates, are no longer allowed to target based on zip code because it's discriminatory, and Zillow runs a business where the majority of their revenue comes from zip code targeting with agents. They're selling zip codes to agents. How's that going to continue? So you got to start to think about that if the majority of your business is coming from Zillow or one of those places, because that's going to change. And yet, when you look at this, the truth of the matter is one of the greatest bangs for your buck right now is Facebook again. We had, I'm going to tell you, we're lucky enough. I run a marketing company. We actually create leads for people on places like Facebook and Instagram. And there was a time last year where it had gotten terrible. And now we're creating leads for people at 30 cents to $1 per lead, like 30 cents to $1 per lead, because Facebook is fixing their ad content. They're fixing their ability to create leads because they're trying to make a play on Zillow. They see what's happening with Zillow and they want to move in. And we know this. I don't know if any of you watched the training on my Facebook Live and my Instagram Live that I did with my buddy from Facebook. He actually runs real estate for Facebook. And I'm in on these meetings, guys. I'm on the meetings where Facebook is actually talking about how do we take over that traffic from Zillow. Has anyone noticed that Facebook Marketplace is now getting 800 million users a month? Like, it's going to be a beast, guys. And they're making a play on Zillow's traffic right now. They're working towards trying to get an MLS worked into Facebook. So they have direct. So you might want to get in on that train. And even before all of that happens, like I said, we're creating leads on Facebook right now for 30 cents to $1 per lead. What would your business look like if you were investing and you had those consistent leads coming in on a regular basis instead of just hoping that your phone rings? You know, I say all the time, we're in an industry where visibility trumps ability, okay? Visibility trumps ability. So it's not enough to just hope someone calls you. You need to have active marketing going out that is branding you, that has direct calls to actions at times, where you are being seen and you are visible at all times, because our business is about leads and leverage, right? So how are you doing in these areas? You need a consistent plan for marketing, not just when I'm slow, it'll happen. Because remember the first point, if you think marketing's expensive, try being invisible. There's nothing more expensive than being invisible in your business, okay? When we talk about a consistent plan for marketing, that also has to do with your prospecting. Like, some of you aren't prospecting, and there's so many different ways to prospect. This isn't a training on that, but you're doing it because you don't want to be rejected. You know, like, oh my God, I can't reach the potential of my business because I'm afraid some stranger on the other line who won't even think about me in 3 seconds is going to say no to me. Like, think about that for a second, guys. Your goal in this area is to be the most rejected agent in your area. If you will become the most rejected agent in your area, if you will make it a goal to not avoid rejection, but to be the most rejected agent in your area, you will be the most successful agent in your area. Guaranteed, promise you, that's how it works. Become the most rejected, you will be. Guys, how did I build a big speaking business? I speak all over the world now. Do you know how it started? In the beginning, I was calling a bunch of places that didn't know me. A lot of no's, a lot of whatever. Then I got little ones, small ones here, back and forth, you know, whatever. And the next thing you know, I don't call anybody anymore. Okay. But it starts somewhere. That's how it happens. We've got to have a plan. And by the way, in today's world, you got to have a plan for seller leads. You got to have a plan for seller leads. I just did a session at our Jared James Advance where I talked about 15 different ways to be creating seller leads. I put a video on YouTube. If somebody's writing in the chat, if you want to send this out to everybody, if you go to YouTube and type in Jared James, the best way to get listings right now. Okay, so go to YouTube, Jared James, the best way to get listings right now. I give you 7 or 8 different things I won't cover now because it's not the purpose of the training. 7 or 8 different ways that you can be creating listings right now, because listings are the power, okay? So, number 1, get clear on your benchmarks that matter. Number 2, have a plan for post-transaction. Number 3, have a plan for consistent marketing. And number 4, get serious about your inner circle. Guys, I can't state this one enough to you. Number 4 is get serious about your inner circle. They did a study years ago, top 100 most successful, fastest growing salespeople in the world. What was the number 1 reason for their success? Ability to control, ability to manage their own state of mind. That was number 1. Ability to control, ability to manage their own state of mind. Admission to your inner circle should cost more than blood relation or the amount of time they've been around you. Okay. Some people you're related to, some people that you have been around a long time, do not belong in your inner circle. You see, some people lift your arms up and some people are like buckets of water that hold your arms down. Some people in your inner circle, the sad truth is, subconsciously, they don't even want to see you reach your fullest potential because it makes them feel bad about themselves. Like, who is in your inner circle? Do they push you? Do they think like you? What are their ideas on money? Do they constantly have excuses? Do they talk about how the man's doing this and here they go again? Are they constantly the victim? Who is in your inner circle? If you guys knew just how serious I was about my inner circle, it would scare you. Like, just because someone's my dad doesn't mean they're in my inner circle. Just because someone's my brother doesn't mean they're in my, they got to push me to ultimately close that potential gap in my life. Everyone else is friends, friendly, whatever. I'm talking about inner circle. Okay. Number 4 is you got to get serious. You got to audit that inner circle. Number 5, and this is a big one right here. Write this one down. Number 5 is build more capacity. You're like, what are you talking about? Build more capacity. What does that even mean? Build more capacity. Okay. When we talk about building more capacity, if I could see your hands right now, wherever you're sitting, even if I can't see you, how many of you would ever say, man, there's just not enough hours in the day. There's just not enough, like, how many of you would say that? I think a lot of you would say that, right? And yet, if you think about it, we've all got the same amount of time. Time is, when you think about the 1,440 seconds that we get every single day. Here's the truth. Getting more done, or the idea of getting more done, I get asked this all the time. Jared, I run multiple multi-million-dollar companies, guys, right? Like, I'm doing a lot. I'm traveling. I'm a father. There's all these different things. They're like, how do you do that? How do you do that? The problem is that people are focusing on the wrong side of the equation. Just like I showed you that bow tie funnel, and I'm like, hey, everybody's focusing on the left, before the transaction, but the real money is on the right after the transaction. This is the same thing. We've got to build more capacity. Think of it like this. When someone goes to shoot a bow and arrow, right? And how far that arrow goes, almost everybody, if I went and shot an arrow, they would watch the arrow in the air to see how far it goes. But the truth of the matter is, how far that arrow goes has little to do with what happens once it's in the air, and has everything to do with the capacity that I create before it ever leaves the bow, right? How far I pull it back. The capacity is created beforehand, and yet everybody would watch it after, but before is all that mattered. The same is true in your life. The reason why I'm able to get so much done, and the reason why I'm able to have energy, and the reason why is because I build capacity beforehand to be able to do that. When you see me online, for those of you that follow me on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and all these different places, and you see me every single day posting hashtag did you sweat today, and every day I'm doing something to sweat, I'm building capacity. When you see me on there, trying to eat well, when you see me on there getting my rest, getting the proper amount of hours of sleep, when you see me on there, being with my family and cultivating close relationships, when you see me on there making sure that my spiritual cup is filled, when you see me on there doing all these things, I'm not doing it to put on a show for you. I'm building capacity. Because I know that the more that I take care of those things, the more that I do did you sweat today, and I eat right, and I exercise, and I get my proper amount of rest, and I cultivate my relationships, and the more that I do that, the more that this vessel is able to do. So for some of you, it has little to do with how can I do more? I'm rushing around. How do I learn how to juggle more balls? How do I learn how to do that? It has little to do with that. It has everything to do with what happens with the arrow before it ever leaves the bow. What happens with you before everybody sees you? You have to learn to build more capacity. That's really what it comes down to. Number 6, another important one. Limit the number of voices you're listening to. Now, I'm not talking about it from like a cult or something like that. But look, one of the great things about the world we live in right now is how much content is available, okay? One of the downsides of the world we live in right now is how much content is available, because we are absolutely confusing ourselves. Confusing. I mean, my God, like you listen to, Grant Cardone, and Grant Cardone says, all debt is good. You use debt to leverage your success, and you use whatever. And then you come over here and you listen to Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey's like, all debt is bad. It's building. And 2 millionaires, right? Both with opposing views. And the problem is when you listen to all these different voices, you stay in a place of confusion. And when you're in a place of confusion, you don't act. And that's a problem. And so what I would encourage you in 2021, find your voices, go deeper on those voices, and stop listening to every single piece of content that's out there, okay? If I'm a voice that you trust, that when I say something, you react, then go deeper on me. Like, listen to my stuff, go whatever. If someone else is that voice, go deeper on them. Understand the seasons and the stages that those people are in and the advice they're giving, because it may be great advice for them, but it's not great advice for you. And so we've got to start to limit the amount of content, the number of voices that we're listening to, so that we can narrow in, get laser focused, and actually act on what works. because both of those people's advice works. But if you try to do both, they're opposing. And again, when people are confused, they don't act, right? So we need to make sure, let's find who those voices are. Let's go deeper on those voices, and let's actually move forward and act and not leave ourselves in a state of confusion. And number 7, the final thing, I'm going to close this out with this, and then I'm going to open it up to questions. So you guys can start getting your questions ready. You can start posting them in the Q&A. You can ask me anything about business, personal, outside of real estate, business overall, whatever you want to know. I'm down for it. Number 7 is make your hobby your career. Make your hobby your career. What does that mean? Well, it means a bunch of things, but it's pretty simple. If you can't go on vacation, if you couldn't get sick, if you couldn't retire, if you couldn't any of these things and your business wouldn't still run, you don't have a career, you have a hobby. And that's a sad, sad truth, okay? There's a lie out there. I did a video last year that went kind of viral, and I said, here's the lie. Again, if I could see you, I'd say raise your hand if you ever heard this, but how many of you have ever heard, we've all got the same number of hours in the day. We've all, whether it was, what's his name from Apple, now it's Tim Cook, or whether it's the guy from Tesla, or whether it's whatever, he's got the same number of hours in the day, and, he just does more with it. And you hear these lines, and really they're used as a way to make you feel bad because they're running multi-billion-dollar companies, and there you are, but they have the same number of hours. We all have the same number of hours. Guys, that's not true. We don't all have the same number of hours, okay? We have the number of hours according to the infrastructure that we implement, that we create, okay? Look, I've got 50 people on my payroll. That means I get all of their 24 hours. It means I have 1,200 hours to your 24. Good luck, okay? We don't get the same number of hours, everybody. We get the number of hours that we create according to the infrastructure that we implement, okay? Infrastructure matters. Remember what I said in the beginning? I said business was about leads and it was about leverage, okay? And so when we talk about that, let me show this to you guys. Another thing I'm going to give to you guys for free, if you guys could put this in the chat again, jaredjamestoday.com/7 stages. The number 7 stages with an S on the end. jaredjamestoday.com/7 stages. You guys can download these. This is about how you grow a business, an organization in real estate, okay? Stage 1, every single one of you that are listening to me right now, if you don't have a TC, you're out of your mind, a transaction coordinator. Every person, whether you're day 1 in real estate or day 20,001 in real estate, you better have a TC, a transaction coordinator, okay? There's no risk. You only pay them when you actually close. So if something doesn't close, you don't pay them. If you get busy and close a lot of transactions, you pay more because you're closing more. If you get slow, you don't pay anything because you don't have any transactions. And honestly, what makes you great as an agent is what makes you suck as a transaction coordinator, okay? Those of you that are great at real estate and then you're staying up at night doing paperwork, it's not what you're great at. It's a different personality profile, okay? Pay the $350 per transaction. Let someone else do all the paperwork and coordinate all the parties together. And it makes you look good because you have an organization, you have a business, right? So step 1, you have a TC, you have an admin. I'm going to give all this to you for free, guys. There's stage 1 all the way through to stage 7. In each one of them, it tells you what their roles are. It tells you what their disc profile is, okay? Have a goal for where it is that you're trying to go and ultimately what that looks like, okay? If you don't, you're not going to do very well in this business, okay? So TC, I have a separate marketing company called Jarja Media, where last year we started offering TCs, transaction coordinators, because I saw the change in the business. And I'm like, this is a must. Everybody needs to be doing this. Why would anybody be doing their own paperwork? It makes no sense. And it absolutely exploded because the industry needed it, right? So if you're looking for very tangible things to make a change of as a result of watching this right now, pretty simply, get a TC, okay? Hire a TC. There's no risk. Independent contractor, they can be virtual, the whole thing. You'll set up a workflow with them. But ultimately, number 7 is make your hobby your career. Get a TC, get your CRM set up. Guys, a fully functioning, a real estate business without a fully functioning CRM is like a car without wheels, okay? There's some things you can do in that car. You can lay back and go to sleep. You can listen to music. You can, turn up the heat. You're not going anywhere. I know you don't like CRMs, or I know a lot of you are paying for them and not using them. You need to be using a CRM. You can't be going off of memory. It's the only way, again, that you'll close the potential gap. So in 2021, make your hobby your career. Absolutely. Okay. Here's what I'll say in closing, guys. Making mistakes is way better than faking perfections. Struggling is better than being stagnant. If you're not uncomfortable in your business, if you're not, then you're not growing, right? Business is about creating new problems. Like, it's not about eliminating problems. It's about solving new problems. You're always going to be creating new. If right now you're brand new and you're trying to figure out how to create a transaction, that's a problem. Awesome. If in 5 years you still are trying to figure out how to create a transaction, you're sucking at real estate. Like, you should have a new problem in 5 years than what you have right now. It's not about eliminating problems. It's about creating new problems. And remember, none of you got into real estate to be average. No one watched HGTV and said, hey, if I work real hard, maybe I'll get a Honda Accord. Okay. Nobody got in to be average. You didn't get into real estate to just create another job. You wanted to create an outlet. You wanted to create a career. You wanted to, flex those entrepreneurial muscles. So do it. Like, real estate is cyclical. What you do right now is going to show up in the first quarter of 2021. The changes you make right now are going to show up in the coming year. So what does that mean? It means you got to sit down, fill out your business plan, figure out exactly what it looks like for you. Create a plan, create what those patterns are going to look like, create what the ecosystem around you is going to look like, what the infrastructures around you is going to look like. Get with your coach, create that plan, and be held accountable. And remember, regardless of what goes on in the coming months and on and, whatever, when things get crazy, make sure you don't. Okay. You are, as a real estate professional in your area, expected to be a leader. Unlike a vacuum salesperson or a furniture salesperson, nobody cares in the community. If you're in real estate, you're expected to be a local leader. Okay. So just remember that as things get crazy and, the vaccines start coming out and whatever, and you're still creating your content and doing those things, when things get crazy, make sure that you don't. Okay. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to open up to questions. I'll let you guys know as well that group that I showed you, Jared James Coaching, that's where I'm going to post the slides. So if you want those slides, I'll show you guys one more time here. If you go into the group, Jared James Coaching, literally just type it into Facebook. The other thing you can do, which just makes it really easy, I know we posted it in the beginning, but if you go to connectwithjared.com, it's all there for you. So the group is there. There's the group right there. If you click on it, it'll go right to the group. You can join the group. Facebook, Instagram, all of these places are on there for you. When you're in the group, I'm going to post this immediately following here. The files will be right here. So if you click on files, the slides that I've done will be right here for you guys. So everything will be there for you. One last time before we go to Q&A, make sure you say something nice about your association for putting this on for you. Take a picture of the screen, take a picture of you watching it, whatever you want. Tag me at Jared James Today on Instagram, Facebook, all these other places. I will pick a couple of them and repost them on my stories to give you guys a little bit of love, because quite frankly, they deserve it for actually investing in you guys and wanting to help you guys out. So with that being said, I can't wait to be connected with so many of you. Make sure you say hello, even in addition to the Q&A here. Send me a message, say hello. I always love to know who everybody is. That's me that responds. So go for that. Other than that, let's see if we have any questions, guys. I'll answer anything you have.
All right, Jared, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I had a hard time kind of moderating everything and then still wanting to take notes. Okay. So
are you still selling?
Yes, I'm still selling.
Oh, nice. So that's right up your alley then.
So the first question we have is from Cheryl. She's asking, how does Fiverr assist with the client loyalty program?
Do you mind if, as I answer these questions, I actually screen share and get very specific with people? So I think this is going to help everybody. All right. So here's how it can work. All right. When you go into the group, Jared James Coaching, right? And you let me just go to the group. That would actually help. When you go to the group, there's a little search thing over here. Okay. Now you can do client loyalty program. You can put in, you know, CPO. We have a certified pre-owned. What we do with listings, by the way, is we tell people when you go into a listing to start doing certified pre-owned listings. So all of your listings come with an inspection already done. Any major stuff's already been done, a 1-year home warranty. And now you're able to actually go and market to sellers that I do certified pre-owned and to buyers and stuff. So when you put into that search, like I just did, CPO, certified pre-owned, or you put in client loyalty, or, you know, one of these kinds of things, what's going to happen is you're going to have these different threads that come up like this. And what you're going to see is you're going to actually start seeing examples of what it looks like, how people all over the world, agents all over the world are marketing client loyalty programs or certified pre-owned, like what their marketing looks like, what their digital marketing looks like. Once you see what that looks like, you can screenshot it or you can save it to your computer. You can bring that to a company like Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and say, hey, I want this exact marketing, but with my company, with my branding, with my colors, and they will create the exact same marketing, but with your branding and colors. So essentially what you can do is go into our group, search things, see examples of what people have done, find the one you really like, and then bring it to Fiverr and have them make it for you so that you can use that marketing to your sellers, to your past clients, to your, does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it does, but you know, you never know.
Me, it does.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question we have is from Jal. He says, hi, Jared. Thanks for all the amazing information. What advice would you give for a marketing plan for a new realtor with no money?
No problem. There's so many things I can say to that. Okay. First things first, before I get into your marketing plan, number one mistake agents make is they don't understand, and you have an opportunity to fix this, is that our business is boats over fishing. Okay. And here's what I mean. Everybody gets into the industry and they ask the question you just asked, which is leads, leads, leads. How do I create leads? I need to create leads. And it makes sense because you're thinking money, 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 right? And think of it like this. If you want to catch a fish, you throw a line in the water, right? If you want to catch a lot of fish, you throw a lot of lines in the water. But if you're going to throw a lot of lines in the water, you better have a bigger boat, okay? You don't go shark fishing in a canoe. And so one of the biggest mistakes new agents or just agents overall make is they never understood it's boats over fishing. Before you get into your marketing and your lead creation and all that stuff, create your infrastructure. Go hire your TC. They don't cost anything. Get your CRM set up, right? So that it's ready to go. So all lead sources are coming in. All your drip campaigns are set up. All of you, like, do that boring stuff first. Set up the boat first, because the bigger the boat, the more fishing you can do, okay? The reason why agents hate their life is because they go in and they go create, and then they become super successful and they have no structure, okay? So their whole life just becomes a big crap show, okay? So boats over fishing, create your infrastructure first. The next advice I'd give you as a new agent is either join a team where you get 40 or 50%, but they provide real leads to you. Okay. It's a huge advantage to dealing with real people. Nothing will teach you quicker than dealing with real people. Okay. Find a team that gives out leads, work with them. But if you're not going to do that and you're just looking for free stuff, there's so many free things you can do. Go on YouTube, look up my Jared James Core 100. It was the #1 way that I built my business when I had no contacts, no money, no anything. It'll create on average 350 to 500 transactions for you in the next 5 to 7 years. So YouTube, Jared James Core 100, CORE 100. Make sure you're doing that. You should be creating content out the wazoo. It's free. Put it out on YouTube, put it out on Facebook, put it out on Instagram. Answer the questions that people want to know. Answer the questions, I just had all of our students do a thing where they showed last year compared to this year. Prices are way up. Rates are way down. Houses are actually cheaper right now. When you look at the mortgage, the actual monthly payment, the average price of a home last year was right around $247. The average price of a home today is like $307. And you're like, holy crap, that's a huge jump. The rate drops so much that you actually still save almost $100 a month when you mortgage that house. Okay. So do content like that. Do content on the things that matter. And then, man, just put in the sweat equity. Okay. Like, go watch that video where I talk about, ways to create listings right now. Every single listing is an opportunity for another listing. So if somebody in your office puts a listing up, it means within 30 days, another listing is going to come up in that area, and it doesn't belong to anybody. So call that area. If you're allowed to in your area, knock that neighborhood, put social, direct targeted campaigns on social to that area, put out a voicemail through Sly Broadcast. You create one voicemail, it goes to everybody in the neighborhood. Like, just do that sweat equity stuff that you're able to do. Every time you have a buyer, that's a potential seller. When you show a home, call the whole neighborhood. Hey, I just showed your neighbor's house over at blank. As I'm sure you're not surprised, they love the house. I mean, they didn't buy the house, but they love the neighborhood. They're ready, willing, and able to go. If you or someone you know is even considering selling, please let me know right now. I may be able to sell your house without it ever hitting the market. Say that verbiage over and over and over. That's like COVID style language. Do open houses for every single person in your area if you're able to do them. Like, just sweat equity, okay? If you just go watch the video I talked about with creating sellers, creating buyers, half of them don't cost anything, okay? Pick 2 or 3 and go all in on those. That's a long answer to a probably short question. I see this. Someone said, can you run through the title of all 7 points? Is that the next question?
Yep, that was the next one.
All right, awesome. Number 1, pretty simply, was get clear on the benchmarks that matter. That's number 1. Number 2, have a plan for post-transaction. That's a biggie, guys. Have a plan for post-transaction. Number 3, have a plan for consistent marketing, okay? Number 3 is have a plan for consistent marketing. Number 4 is get serious about your inner circle. I didn't spend a lot of time on that, but my God, does that matter. Number 5, build more capacity. Remember, bow and arrow, little to do with what the arrow does in the air, everything to do with before you actually release the arrow. It's the same in your life. Did you sweat today? Exercise, eating right, sleeping the proper amount, working on the relationships around you. Like, it matters. That's how I build capacity. Number 6, limit the voices you're listening to. There's way too much content. Stop listening to opposing voices. All of these gurus know what they're talking about, but they're in different stages of their life. Make sure they're in your stage. Number 7, make your hobby your career. Remember, leads and leverage. You only make your hobby your career through infrastructure, okay? Get a TC, get your CRM set up, get your, all of those things. Those are your 7.
Awesome. The 7 non-negotiables.
Oh, where to get that? Okay, very simply, guys. Again, if you go to, let me post it over here. I'm going to show this. Give me a second, guys. I'm just pulling it up here so I can show you exactly. This is the beauty of doing these things virtually, is that I don't just tell you about it, I can show you. Again, if you go into our group, the Jared James Coaching, and you put in 7 non-negotiables, right? You can either find it here, okay? So here's somebody posted it. I don't know if you guys can see this right. Well, it's about to open it. I'm not going to because it's going to make me download and everything. You can find it just by typing 7 non-negotiables into the group, or you can go into the files and just look for the file that says 7 non-negotiables. It's in a version where you can print it out or save it on your phone or whatever you want to do. Look at them every single day. That's where you will find that. Okay.
Awesome. Where can we find a TC?
Well, I think I kind of mentioned this. I'm not here to sell you guys, but I run a company that has them. We started this last year because of the opportunity. If you go to, I just put the link in the chat, jarjamedia.com/transaction coordinator. You can do a consult for free. You can talk to someone. I just put it in the chat. So we offer them through Jarja Media. Guys, they're incredible. That is the greatest department we've ever started. It's the amount of time it saves you, how good it makes you look, how much more time it frees you up to be creating business and rather than just managing business. By the way, number 4 for 7 non-negotiables, the number 4 non-negotiable is to prioritize the creation of new business over the management of existing business. Think about how often you don't do that in your career. Prioritize the creation of new business over the management of new business. How many of you create a bunch of transactions and then spend the next month managing them, right? That's not a good business model, okay? That's not running a business, that's running around. We talked about that, right? You didn't get into real estate to be a file pusher, okay? So I put the link in there, jarjamedia.com/transaction coordinator. We also, by the way, we have CRM that I personally built there's all sorts of stuff there. You guys can go check that out.
Robin asks, what CRM would you recommend? You just mentioned.
There you go.
I always say the one that you use is.
I was literally going to say the one you use. Guys, if you're using a CRM right now and you love it, stick with it. Like CRMs are like spouses. You ever seen somebody, like a couple together, and like it works, but you're like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how he's happy with her. I don't know how she's happy with him, but they're happy. That's how CRMs are. You know, like some work for some people and don't work for other people. We've got a lot of people in your area that are using the Georgia Media CRM. You guys can go check it out. You can do a trial. You can do a free demo. You can do, you know, whatever. But it's, you know, I just decided, because CRMs mainly, the big ones you know about, they do a good job. That's why you know about them, right? But they were built off the old ACT platform. They weren't really built for real estate. And so I just got to the point where we were sending thousands of people over to these other CRMs of our students. And I finally just said, you know what? I want control over this. And I spent 2 years and millions of dollars. And the beauty is that when something changes in the industry, or one of you has a great idea about what we should do with the CRM, I don't call the CEO of some CRM, whatever, and say, can we do this? I walk down the hall and I say, make this change. And that is a very cool thing for me. So it's good for you guys as well. You can check it out. If you're using one you love, stick with it. Just stop paying monthly fees for one and not using them. That's just such a waste.
Definitely a great tip. Tez asks, how have you and your clients, particularly those with young children and virtual learning and teaching, pivoted business as a result of COVID, and what new opportunities have come?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's happened is we've learned to be more efficient with our time. Don't go overboard, guys. Like, doing Zoom is awesome, and there's a lot of things you can do Zoom with. But the idea that once this all passes, we're going to be in the new normal. I hear this all the time, and I'm like, just stop it. Don't go extreme, guys. Like, any of you remember after 9/11 when nobody was going to fly anymore? And when COVID just hit, the airlines were busier than they've ever been in history. Anybody remember 2011 when the stock market crashed and nobody was going to invest in the market? And yet it just hit its highest point in history. Anybody remember in 2010 when all the news media covered was shark attacks and nobody was going to go in the ocean anymore? So now we have COVID. Oh, it's going to be the new normal. People aren't going to be around each other. They're not going to go to concerts. Stop it. Like, guys, come on. There's vaccines coming. Like, we're going to go back to normal. You're not going to do every appointment now through Zoom. You are going to now have the option, right? A lot of people who weren't comfortable with video before and weren't comfortable with these things are now comfortable. Like, stay-at-home moms are doing Zoom happy hours. That's a beautiful thing. And so this has exposed a lot of you who were still running your business like it was 1991. Okay. Can you imagine if COVID hit and you still had your files in a file cabinet at the office? That worked out good, didn't it? Or fax that over. I go to the office and get it. Oh, I can't go to the office. So this in many ways has pushed our industry forward, and it's exposed those who weren't running modern day businesses. And I think when this is all over, we're going to take the great from it and we're going to eliminate what's not needed. There will be more virtual meetings and everything. But the idea that now people aren't going to go into listing presentations and aren't going to go, that's not going to be, the majority of the public. Like, we're going to get back to that. There's a difference between listening to a song on YouTube and going to a concert. Okay. And we will get back to concerts, and things will get back to normal. Don't get stuck in the time and, be a prisoner of the moment. The worst thing you can do to a prisoner is throw them in the hole, to isolate them. So the idea that we're going to come out of all of this and we're going to choose isolation, probably not. Okay. So you got more comfortable with video, you shot more content, more people got on social, which gives you more ability to put content out there. More people came to today's age with e-signatures and, transaction coordinators and transaction manager, like all of that kind of stuff started happening. It's going to push our industry forward. And believe it or not, as a result, we're going to be a better industry as a result. I really believe that. So yeah, but we're not going to be in a new normal.
Awesome.
You may disagree with me. Talk to me in a year.
What are your thoughts on teams versus loaners?
Loaners is not a long-term solution in real estate. It's stupidity. At minimum, you've got a TC. And then you start looking at admin and you look at buyer's agents. If you don't like the word team, it's just an organization. It's amazing to me that we are an industry that tries to sell people on the idea that we're by ourselves and that's a good thing. Hey guys, I should list your house because I'm an expert negotiator. I'm an expert communicator. I'm an expert marketer. You're an expert bull crapper, because all of those things are different personality profiles. So unless you're schizophrenic, you're not great at all those things. And think about it. We are selling the largest asset they're ever going to own and trying to sell them on the idea that we're everything. If you call the doctor's office, pretty important. If you called them and the doctor picked up the phone and set the appointment, and then the doctor welcomed you when you got there, and then the doctor took your insurance info, and then the doctor walked you to the waiting room, then the doctor took your weight and height, and then the doctor brought you to the second waiting room, which is really what it is. There's just no magazines. And then the doctor finally comes in, and the doctor diagnosed you, and then the doctor set you up for surgery. Is there any chance you would let that doctor take a scalpel to you? No. You'd be like, Doc, you can't hire a $12 an hour receptionist, you know? It's ridiculous. And yet it's what we're doing every single day, okay? Solopreneurs, especially in the age where consumers are one-click shopping on Amazon. They're showing up and having their groceries already ready for them. They're living in a different age, and then they come to the real estate industry, and we're trying to convince people that it's a good thing that we're still running our business like it's 1973. Stop it. At minimum, you have a TC, but that's just the start. Build an organization. It's what's better for your people, and more importantly, it's what's better for you. Stop holding on to that inner narrative you've created, how it's best for my people. I'm everything to everyone. You're going to be to everything to everyone while living in a prison because you're going to hate your life, period.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Does that tell you what I think about that?
Clearly you have very strong feelings.
Guys, I get it. You're control freaks. Like I am too. Okay. But we have to, I wrote a book called Get Out of Your Way. Get out of your way. You know, you can't be such a control freak that you can't build anything, that you can't allow anybody to do anything. Oh, they're not doing it right. That's code for they're not doing it the way you do it. Okay. But it's getting done and you're not a part of it. Holy crap. That's amazing. Okay. Like we just got to change the way we view teachable. Yeah, man. Like, look, the thing that gets you to one place is exactly what keeps you from going to the next. Okay. So the tenacity, the will with all you know what it takes, guys, to be successful in real estate. 87% fail. If you're making it in real estate, it takes a certain drive. But that same tenacity, that same drive is what will kill the ability for anybody to work with you and for you to actually expand and become an actual business. Again, do you want to run a business or do you want to run around? You got to decide which one it is. Okay. Running around is no fun and it gets old very quick. It's one of the number one things when we do, we have a lot of coaching students, right? It's one of the number one things we deal with. A lot of the people we work with, they're not failing in real estate. They're making plenty of money. They just don't have any organization, And so we help them with that.
That's awesome. We've still got a couple more questions. What advice would you give to new agents just starting out during the pandemic? What should their day look like and what should their focus be on?
Yeah, honestly, you had an advantage. I'm going to go back to my earlier answer. You were forced. There was an old line I was talking about during the pandemic, and I said, when fishermen can't go out to sea, they work on their nets. Okay. They don't worry about the fact that they can't go out to sea. They work on their nets. They make their nets stronger. They make their nets bigger. And then when the storm calms down, they catch more fish because they didn't just sit back and it wasn't all about, fishing for them. It was about their nets. So you have an opportunity during a pandemic to work on your net. You have an opportunity to work on your boat. You have an opportunity to work on your infrastructure. The reason why when everything opened back up and there was a surge that occurred, some agents did more business in 3 months than they've ever done in a year was because they worked on their net. Okay. So take my advice from earlier, boats over fishing, create your infrastructure, get your TC set up, get your CRM set up, get all of that done. Be creating content, document your journey. People love to hear about the journey. Don't worry about, well, it's my first this or it's a whatever. Document your journey and put it out to people. People really relate to that. And take the free time that you have right now to touch base with every single person you know. Okay. Do you know that I have a week and a half blocked off my calendar where I'm literally going to shoot 1 to 3 minute bomb videos to over 1,000 people individually to personally reach out to them and say, thank you for, having your whole brokerage be a part of our program. Thank you for hiring me to be this. Thank you for, whatever. Hope everything's well. Hope Johnny did well with his, his soccer this year, whatever. Do you know how that's going to pay off in dividends? like all ROI doesn't come from money spent. Money's important, obviously, right? But some of those things you do from a time perspective to just touch base and be top of mind, visibility trumps ability, are killer. Okay. And then I also recommend, I have a podcast on what new agents should be focused on. I have a YouTube video, a Jared James show, what new agents should be focused on. You need to go watch the YouTube video and listen to the podcast on what you should be focused on. They're more like 45-minute in-depth, step-by-step that I can't answer in a Q&A. So go check those out. It's free. I'm not selling anything. It's free. Go listen to those and take notes. And then send me questions. Send me a DM on Instagram. That's direct message for anybody under 40. Or, you know, whatever.
And you do respond. I will say that.
Always.
It might take a little bit, but you do respond.
Yeah, always, guys. Unless you start like getting into like, you know, what are the hours of your office and that stuff. Then I have a social person that'll jump in. But any like questions, guys, whatever, I get those. I answer them. So go for it.
So speaking of a social helper, would you suggest getting a social media manager, someone that is constantly posting relevant content for you?
You don't need it right now. Unless you're going to go third party where it's not that expensive. Like there's third parties that do it for $300 a month, $350. Now that I think about it, like I said, we do that too, but there's a lot to do it. We do it. A lot of other people do it. You don't need a full time. I'll tell you that right now. It's everybody overcorrected, you know, during the Gary V time, you know, where it's just like, you need a full time, you know, videographer and you need 5 people posting content, you know, whatever. And it's just like, relax. Let's let the speed wear off and then let's look at the reality of the world for a second. Okay. You probably don't need that. But to have like a rep or a marketing rep or somebody like that, that actually works on your branding, and part of your branding is your social and those things, and making sure you're scheduling, not scheduling like it's posting automatically. That's a huge mistake. But content this week will be this, post this week will be that, and you start scheduling that out and what that looks like. That's smart for your business. That's just modern day marketing. That's marketing in a 2021 world. Again, marketing company, Georgia Media, we have reps that do lead creation. We have reps that do brand. We have reps that do social. There's a lot of companies in our industry that do that. Regardless of what company you go with, make sure they actually understand social. Like it drives me nuts how many pariahs there are out there right now that are taking advantage of the fact that agents don't understand social. And so once a week, you know, they're sharing a link from Keeping Current Matters on their Facebook page, and they think that's mattering. You know, nobody's seeing it. It's just, and you're like, well, look at this. I'm consistent. Social is so much bigger than that. There's so much more to it than what most of these companies are doing. Just make sure you're working with a good company.
Great advice. Do you have any different tips or advice for people who are looking to create a thriving referral business?
Yes. In addition to, like I said earlier, creating your post-transaction plan, right? We have the 5 steps that you should be following with all people to create referrals. Go on YouTube. I think the video is called Jared James 5 Steps. Hold on. What is it called? I'll tell you right now. Hold on. Let me just look it up, guys. I hope you guys don't mind me doing this live, but I'd rather give you real advice. Jared James 5 Steps. Let me see what it's called. There you go. 5 steps to get referrals from your sphere. Jared James, 5 steps to get referrals from your sphere. Okay. Your sphere of influence. I go through the 5 steps that you need to follow. Okay. And you do it with every single person. And I give you like the detailed, go check that out. That's one way that you do it. And then your core 100, which I already mentioned. Okay. So let's go. 3 ways. Core 100, 100 different businesses or industries. And I go through the step-by-step how to create that. Your 5 steps of you know, what you're doing with each person when you're talking to them and creating a new expectation for when the next touch is going to be, and have a plan for post-transaction.
Awesome. Let's see. Looks like we've got a couple more. Oh, Kat asks, why do you not like scheduling out posts?
Because it's a terrible idea. Because all it takes is one mistake and you're done. Meaning if you put out a post a week ago and it automatically posts, great day to smile, and that post auto posted on September 11th, 2001, you're now not forgiven. you don't know, guys, our world is so versatile. Our world is so volatile. Our world is so, especially with the news, we make big deals out of things that aren't even big deals. But if people feel like they're big deals, then that's all that matters, right? And so you don't want to have something going on in the world and, all of a sudden you put out great data smile, or you put out whatever your thing is, because you're going to come off as tone deaf. Not to mention, if I really want to get into this, when you use these places like Hootsuite and whatever, and they automatically post to the third parties like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all these places, in the algorithm built in with Facebook and Instagram and all these places, they know that it's coming from a third party. Therefore, you don't get the same organic reach, okay? Take the 2 seconds and go post organically yourself on the platforms, because that platform is going to understand that it came directly from you, and it's going to show it to more people.
That's great advice. I didn't know about that.
Guys, it's the same reason why you can't post a YouTube link on Facebook. They're competitors. So Facebook sees your YouTube link and goes, screw you, you're getting 2 likes. Like, this isn't, you got to post the organic video, the MP4, even if it's the same thing you uploaded to YouTube, you've got to do it separately. Look, Instagram just changed. I did a thing on YouTube on the Instagram algorithm and how it's changed about 2 months ago. It changed drastically. Even putting up pictures that have been doctored through Photoshop, through Canva, through whatever, doesn't get the same organic reach anymore. They want undoctored, straight from your camera roll pictures and videos.
Crazy.
Yeah, and they're changing all the time, guys. So, and again, I see these questions coming in. And I see a lot of you guys, I'll get to it, that are coming in on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. If you have questions you want to ask here, ask them. If you think of them afterwards, again, send them through on Instagram, or Instagram is my #1. That's my love language. But I check Facebook and all those other ones as well. So just follow on there, send me a thing, and I'll get back to you on those too. What else we got?
That's so funny, your love language.
I talk about the 5 love languages of leads like all the time. It's, we have love languages, touch, all of them, right? It's the same thing with leads, the same thing with people. You'll have a better experience, you'll have a better conversion in your business if you understand the love language of the people you're reaching out to. Some people like phone, some people like text, some people like email, some people like social DM, some people like video. Like, you got to know their love language. Find their love language and use it. If you send me an email, it's very difficult to get a response. If you call me, you're never going to get me. Send me a DM on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, probably get a pretty quick response. You call me, nothing. Send me a text, probably. You see, it's like, that's how it works.
I totally hear you.
Yeah, your love language doesn't matter. All that matters is the recipient.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly.
If like yours is touch, and you're with your spouse and you're like, hey, and you're putting your arm around them and you're like, why do they seem unhappy? It's because your spouse is like, buy me something. Theirs is gifts. And it's the same thing when it comes to converting leads and converting people and working with our clients. You need to know what their love language is. And it's not going to be touch. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying right now. That's going to get you in prison. What I'm talking about is like text, voicemail, email, social DM, video. Like, don't go touching your clients. I don't want that taken out of context. Jared said, touch my client. I did not say that.
If you buy them gifts, make sure that you abide by the RESPA guidelines. All about compliance here.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on how to create a website?
Yeah, like what? Oh God, that's a large thing. What do you mean? Like,
pretty loaded, right?
There are new website companies. Here's what I would tell you, because I hate getting into advice like that. Like, because there's so many different companies. The smartest person in the room is always the room. Okay, go into our group, the Jared James Coaching. There's 14,000 agents from all over the world. Ask them what they're using for their websites and who they like and why. You'll get a bunch of responses from people who are actually using real estate websites.
And you can even ask to see their websites and who
100%,
they and get an
100%.
idea on what
leverage them. I know a ton of different great companies, but a lot of their owners are friends of mine, so I don't want to promote them. We're actually with Georgia with our CRM. We're launching websites in like a month, but we don't have it now. So if you need a website right now, go post it in the group, see who everybody's using. Make sure it has an IDX connection. A website without an IDX connection, your MLS feed is an absolute waste of time. So make sure you have stuff like that, but just go post in the group. Smartest person in the room is always the room.
Very true. The last question we have is, where can we get the slide deck?
I'll tell you what, to make this really simple, because I said I was going to put it in the group. I am, as we're doing this right now, going to, it's NJCAR, right?
You got it.
I am right now.
Oh, and I don't even know what our
NJCAR
name. NJAR.
NJCAR. I am going to right now, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to go post it in the group right now. So it is going to show up at the top of the feed. NJ, let me grab it.
NC.
NC.
North Central Jersey. So NCJAR.
Because I screwed up and said NJ. NCJAR.
It's super confusing.
All right, I think I might have screwed it up, but either way, it's being posted in the group, and you will see it there within the next like 2 minutes. Okay, so if you go into the Facebook group, you will see at the top of the group the slides that you're asking for right now.
Awesome. And about how long should we expect to wait to get accepted into the group?
I should have people that are looking at that, but you know what I will do as I'm talking to you guys right now? This is uploading, so just give it 2 seconds while it does that. I will, like before I go off, I can kind of mass accept everybody. Okay, that was done. So let me go mass accept everybody. Although if my team is doing their job, yep, everybody's all been accepted except for the last 4 in the last minute. So everyone's been accepted. We will continue to accept those. It'll be right at the top. And if you don't see it right at the top, just go into files and you'll see it there.
Awesome. Super exciting. It looks like we've got all the questions answered.
Look at that. We thought we weren't going to have any
questions.
A lot
of thank yous. A lot of this was great. This was amazing. I definitely thought
love doing this with you. Can't wait till we can get together in person again and, you know, actually see each other and hug and high five and, you know, be able to tell jokes that only work in person. I'll put it there again, guys. Go to connectwithjared.com, connect on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, podcast, all that stuff. Make sure you say hello. I love to say hello to new people that are coming in just because there's a lot of people on there. So it's always good for me to kind of see who is there. So make sure you're doing that. Thanks for being on though, guys. Love doing this and can't wait to do it again.
Thank you so much, Jared. We really, really appreciate it. That was amazing. And I'm sure we're all going to have an amazing 2021 and you'll hear all about it on the Facebook page.
Till next time, Chrissy.
Thanks, guys. Have a great
All right, guys. I'll see you. Have a good one.
Later.